From Studio 226 in Orlando, this is Aging Smarter, the podcast where we explore the intersection of law, aging, and everyday life. I'm your host, retired former circuit judge Jose R. Rodriguez. And today we have a very special guest joining us, Shannon Miller. Shannon Miller is currently the chair of the Florida Bar's Elder Law Section. Shannon has spent decades protecting Florida seniors and vulnerable adults through advocacy, education, and real-world courtroom experience. Shannon, thank you for being here. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Did I forget anything?
And thank you for the Cuban coffee. It's lovely.
It's from our favorite deli, the Black Bean Deli. And I wouldn't start a day without it.
I love it.
Let's start with a big picture. What does the Elder Law Section of the Florida Bar do?
The Elder Law Section of the Florida Bar is an organization comprised of elder law attorneys across the state. We do a lot of things, but I would say the most important thing that we do is to advocate for seniors and adults with disabilities. So, that can mean that we go to the legislature to fight for good legislation that protects seniors. It could mean that we go to get funding from the budget committees.
I see.
It can also mean sometimes that we try to educate judges and other lawyers.
Which is absolutely sorely needed.
Sorely needed. We also help with board certification. So we do have a board certification in elder law. And so, we are the umbrella for that entity, and we do some education related to board certification.
And to be board certified means that you've taken extra classes, you've passed an exam.
Yes.
And the exam is put together by individuals who practice in elder law and have a degree of expertise and experience.
Yes. They work very hard. I served on the Elder Law Certification Committee for several years. It's a lot of work.
Does not surprise me.
It's a lot of work, but to be qualified as an expert in elder law it's a lot, but it is you learn so much through the board certification process. It's just fantastic.
Right. I know you also get continuing legal education credit, and those classes are advanced. They're not for the.
Yeah, you gotta know a lot. You've got to know guardianship. You've got to know probate. You've got to know, exploitation. You have to understand the rules as they relate to civil procedure as well as the probate rules. There's so much information that you need to know. Medicaid planning, yes, it's a lot.
Expansive.
Yeah.
So it's part education, part advocacy, and part community, because it is a community of lawyers.
Such a community of lawyers.
That help one another.
Yeah, we just had our retreat in Sedona, Arizona.
I know, I kept reading about it and saying, oh, Shannon.
It was so great. We had this group of lawyers, and the whole topic was finding your true nature. So the idea was to dial inward and really connect with yourself so that then you could be a good connector for others.
That's one of the things that I try with my students. I try not just to teach the law, but also to teach how the law applies to everyday situations.
Right, because if all we're doing is working and we're not enjoying life and participating in the journey of life, right, that's where we run into all kinds of issues like, addiction.
Sorry for the raspberry there.
No,
but I think
it's absolutely. We need lawyers to have families that are settled, have balance, find a way that when things get really stressful, because they will.
Yeah.
Like, we're attorneys. We're like helping people through some of the toughest experiences that they have in life. And we also have to put our own oxygen mask on. And so that's kind of what we've been focusing on.
One of the things that I remember when I was back on the bench before retirement was how siblings, grown adult siblings, brought their jealousies, their pettiness to bear because they either wanted to control the parent that was under guardianship, that was incapacitated, or they wanted to control the assets of the individual. And it just was like, it was World War III on steroids.
Yes.
I am sure you've seen quite a bit of that.
I do. And I honestly, in my experience as an attorney kind of dealing with those issues on a regular basis, I've come to believe that there is a better way. And part of that is really kind of looking at the whole picture. So what we do in our practice, my practice in particular, is we're we're exercising a life care planning model, which is unique, and
Excellent.
I think it's the
Excellent.
future of elder law, where we try to bring families in along with that couple or that individual who may be experiencing chronic health care conditions, dementia, Parkinson's, which we can talk about. They're in this like really hard moment in life. And what we're trying to do is create a process and a pathway forward for people to age and die better. And that means, adding in happiness, making sure that all the resources are being used, which includes family. Because a lot of times we'll have a local family person, we may have someone who lives far away.
Nebraska.
Right? But we still need everyone on the same page. And so trying to find a pathway forward for people in a different way that's a little more holistic in its approach, where we're using elder care coordinators, who are usually case managers, nurses, social workers, to help people understand what's happening in the aging world, which is, the challenges of facilities, nursing homes, short staff. Like there's so much going on right now with healthcare that is really hard, that we need to do it better. And I think elder law attorneys are really at the forefront of being able to organize and create a pathway for people that is gentler and that is more filled with happiness and love. And, we're those lawyers that, like, you hear bad stories about lawyers. You hear these stories about, oh, my lawyer, I don't even like my lawyer. No one says that about elder law attorneys, right? Elder law attorneys are like loved because we're kind of social workers, but don't tell a social worker that. We're not really social workers. We think we're social workers, but our whole job is really about trying to help people.
Caring.
Yeah, and it's evident when you come to an elder law section event, when you participate in anything where you see lawyers helping each other, even if they're competitors. It's very strange. There's this collegiality among elder law.
Another reason to be a member of the elder law section of the Florida Bar.
Yes. Why would you not be? It's so great.
I remember when we first started working with elder caring coordination.
Yes.
And the beauty of it was that it saved an incredible amount of assets. Because if you had everybody lawyering up at $300 an hour, you had fights and anything that was contentious.
And it's $500 an hour now, Judge.
Whoops. Inflation, or is it inflammation?
It's a lot.
Yeah, but the thing about it is that, again, the resource savings is tremendous with an elder care coordination. I remember we still do, have monthly meetings. And because we were starting, there used to be I would say not fun made, but chuckles, because whenever Orange County or Ninth Circuit had to report, we always had the odd man out type of things occurring. Like, for example, what do you do when a lawyer refuses the court order to participate in elder caring coordination? We worked over that. We worked on that. But I saw elder caring coordination become the tool that it is now to resolve disputes amongst families that won't even talk to one another about their parent, about their aunt, their uncle, about their elder.
And let me make a little distinction here. The elder care coordination that you're talking about is really in the confines of guardianship and the guardianship process.
Right.
The elder care coordination that I'm talking about is really like outside of that realm. But it's the same idea. It's the same idea. It's still this, healthcare advocate.
Bringing people together.
Yes.
Bringing people together to make decisions jointly to the best of their ability to move the individual forward and have a dignified life.
Right. And still honoring the wishes. Yeah. So like that is our like preeminent job, right? Supporting our loved one who's maybe entering the stage that's going to be the end of their life, right? It's like, what do they want? What makes them happy? And how do we create a life for them that honors those things? It may not be the longest life. They may not want to live to be 105. They may say like, look, when I can no longer walk my dog, when I can no longer, then I really kind of want to like, let that be the time when I start to kind of make my way towards a different existence. Yeah. And I heard one of your podcasts where you were talking about death and how you were like, we have all these different ways of talking about death, right? The elephant in the room. And honestly, I'm going to be doing some end-of-life doula training this spring. And I just heard this end-of-life doula talk in Sedona when we were out there. She was a doula who was talking about, really, what is the experience like? And what are we doing well and what are we not doing well? But ultimately, the issue is it's whatever people want it to be.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes. That brings to mind your advocacy, the section's advocacy.
Yes.
And since 2017, I have been following the POLST, P-O-L-S-T.
Physician Orders for Life-Sustaining Treatment. Yes.
And the reason we say it like this is because you and I, from the conversations that we've had in groups, have been advocates for that.
Absolutely.
Longer than most people.
Yeah.
There have always been, it's been 2017 and we still don't have a law that's been passed dealing with POLST.
Yes. Yes.
And all anyone has to do to find out more about it is to go online on POLST, POLST.org.
Yep.
Different states call it differently. They've got a different nomenclature.
They've got MOLST. The one that was recently proposed at the legislature was the MOLST, which is the medical. It's the same thing, but instead of physician, it just says medical. So
es el mismo perro con diferente collar.
Sí.
In Spanish, that means it's the same dog but with a different
collar. Yes.
Period. Exactly. And the whole idea is like, people get on with it. What you want to do and what POLST basically does, correct me if I'm wrong, is it sets down individuals who have capacity with a doctor to go ahead and set out what they want. Do they want continuous feeding tubes? Do they want to be intubated? Do they want hydration?
Right.
What do they want?
Right.
When there is absolutely no way that there is a cure.
Right. And I think what's interesting about that, and I think every estate planning attorney will say the same thing, whether you're an elder law attorney or someone who's not an elder law attorney, but you do estate planning. When we draft living wills, which are the instructions for how we want to leave this world, what you'll find is that most people do not want their life artificially prolonged. They want suffering to be at a minimum. And if that means withdrawing artificial hydration or nutrition, you may remember the Terry Schiavo case, where that was such a hard thing to think about, withdrawing artificial hydration or nutrition for someone that ultimately may lead to their death. Because that really does happen. Your organs will shut down if you're not hydrated. But the reality is that most people, when they get closer to that time, they do not want to be in suffering.
Right. And if you're in a vegetative state.
Right, or in a terminal condition or an end-stage condition. It's in 98% of the cases that I have, and I think most estate planning attorneys would agree, people don't want that. They don't want their life artificially prolonged. Now, there's going to be some outliers. There's going to be some people, for a lot of religious people, have certain views about life, and that's great.
Or financial, because if you pull
Maybe
the
financial.
plug,
the
money that comes in stops.
It's true. But it's their decision. So if their living will is going to say, I want everything done, we can put that in the document. I have a client, she had ALS, and she and she wanted everything done. And I went to her house and I was trying to persuade her. I was like, friend, you're going to have an itch on your back and you're not going to be able to tell anybody to scratch it, or you're going to have pain, or there's going to be a wrinkle in your... And she said, Shannon...
Because your vocal cords, because everything goes.
You can't communicate at all. And she said, Shannon, I know that that's how you think I should feel, but this is how I feel. And so we had resuscitation orders. We had everything to be done for her. And
because
that's her
what
wish.
she wanted.
That's what she wanted.
And that's what POLST do.
Yes.
And that's what any thorough, even DPOA, durable power of attorney, can at least approach.
Yes, a healthcare surrogate is really the one right now. I mean, there is a durable power of attorney for medical decision-making is still in Florida statutes. We're really moving away from that model. And the healthcare surrogate statute, which is 765, really lays out a better structure. And just so your listeners understand, one of the things that you can do in the designation of healthcare surrogate documents since 2017, you can actually check a box to have someone make decisions for you. You have to initial the box to have someone make decisions for you, even if you can make decisions for yourself.
Right.
So my mother had pancreatic cancer, bless her. She was 62 when she died.
Ouch.
And her whole life, her love of life was listening to my daughters playing Barbies on the bed, right? That's all she wanted to do. She wanted to sit there, watch them play. That was like her exit strategy. How much can I listen to my granddaughters playing Barbies on the bed? But we had to make medical decisions, and she was capacitated to make those decisions. So we had to get her out of the bed. We had to get her showered off. It was cold. She had cachexia. She was very sick. And we had to get her in the car and take her to the doctor's office where there's a zillion people and wait for 2 hours to talk to the doctor about whether or not to stent her liver. Now, under Florida statutes, if she had been able to sign that little box, she could have sent me to do it for her. And then she could have stayed at home. So, know what your healthcare surrogate document says. Make sure that that provision is in there where even if you have the capacity to make medical decisions for yourself, you can send somebody to do it for you. And then you can stay and play Barbies on the bed. You know?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
How phenomenal.
Yeah, it's so great.
Do you know of any legislation that is still pending or that might
So we just passed in the elder law section, we passed Stop the Scammers, which was such a win. And no one voted against it. And,
Wait a minute. In today's climate of division?
Not a single vote against this legislation that was proposed by the elder law section. And
you know what? I think they realized that they're all aging and that they're going to need to be able to rely on, oh my goodness.
And the scams, I mean, it's a $60 billion a year industry in the United States. Everybody listening to this has probably come in contact with a scam themselves. And 1 in 5 people over the age of 70 will be scammed or exploited in the next year. 1 in 5, right? Yep. And the average number of times that someone gets scammed is 7 times. So, I mean, it's an epidemic in our country. And Florida is the first state across the United States to come up with this innovative legislation. And I will tell you that the legislation itself was crafted on Zoom, not last January, but the January before, where we had 5 elder law attorneys literally put their heads together to try and figure out how we could serve scammers. Because who are scammers? We don't know who they are.
No, exactly.
There's someone who claims to be Keanu Reeves or whatever. They're not a real person, right? So we had been unable to really freeze assets of someone who was being repeatedly scammed because we couldn't serve the exploiter. We couldn't serve the scammer. So these few lawyers, we sat down and we crafted this way to serve the scammer using the same method that they had been communicating with our victim.
That's brilliant.
It is.
That's brilliant.
And Britton Swank, okay, Britton, I'm calling Britton out right now, but she had a case where it was, it was Elon Musk, okay? He's a known person that people use to exploit people. And she came up with this very creative way to use that same method. She got a burner phone so that they wouldn't have her actual phone number. But anyway, so she had one of our first cases where we've actually started using this legislation. But it came into play in July of this year. And now we have a method for serving these scammers to freeze the assets of our vulnerable victim. And what we know is that the cryptocurrency scams, and I don't know if you've heard about the crypto ATMs and all of these problems across Florida related to these ATMs that are basically either being used by drug dealers or they're being used by scammers. So people will come with big chunks of cash in a paper bag, and law enforcement will sit outside these ATMs to try and help stop people from putting their hard-earned cash into these scammer dollar, the ATMs. But the cryptocurrency issue is really great. This Stop the Scammer legislation is actually being used by some Palm Beach County prosecutors. They have a legal aid attorney who's going to file these exploitation injunctions to stop this.
Side.
And they're going to be the first tester of trying to shut down these crypto scams. We also know in
other words, testing the validity of whether or not the service
Yeah, but also like we need a designated legal aid attorney to help people because these, hiring an attorney is very expensive.
Oh gosh, yes.
Right? So,
Yes.
We need to find people who can, do the work because some of these scams are like $500. You're going to pay an attorney $500 an hour. There's no
way.
benefit there.
No way.
So that's why the legal aid attorneys are part of this project and so necessary. And then we have the prosecutors at the Palm Beach County State Attorney's Office who are working hand in hand with these legal aid attorneys to get these assets back in the hands of our vulnerable person using guardianship and other tools to make sure that they're protected going forward. But I also want to just talk about Marion County.
I am so glad that that's happening because, for the longest time I was an advocate of the appointed court monitors. My fear was, as a judge, what I didn't want was for the person who was being victimized to be re-victimized by having to pay for the cost of investigation.
Right.
This seems to fix it.
And I mean, we're going to have to work out the kinks.
Sure.
Like it's
like anything new.
Right.
Like
it's
anything
brand new. It's never been tried. But we're smart.
Well,
so we're gonna
five brains,
right?
5 brains got together.
But also like law enforcement, judges, adult protective services. We have a ton of people who are working on these problems together. I recently went to Marion County. The Fifth Circuit has an entity that's working to stop scammers, and they actually have been using the Attorney General's office in Florida. That allows, so once you know that there's been a scam that exceeds $10,000, so it needs to be a higher dollar crypto scam, there's actually a program at the Attorney General's office where they will freeze the wallet. So if you guys know about this blockchain technology, the assets go into a wallet and then they can trace it at the Attorney General's office and then they engage in this process of like a seizure. Right? So they will seize the entire wallet of the scammer. Huh. And what we're finding, and they actually have this kind of bonus provision where if they freeze the wallet and they recover more than the victim's money, which is always the case. So they're freezing $10,000 of our victim, but the wallet itself is worth $500,000, right? Because they've done it to so many people that didn't report it. Then the extra money that comes back is actually being fed back into the reporting agency. So
it's forfeited.
Yes, it's forfeited. And then what we're finding is that then Marion County Sheriff's Office is going to recover some of these funds that they can then funnel into additional senior programming.
Fantastic.
Right? So it's like we're using the scammers' money to benefit these, these programs that are actually helping people. So, this is beautiful.
Brilliant.
And I know. And kudos to the Attorney General's office for setting that up for people. I mean, it does have to be more than $10,000, but I would still encourage people to contact law enforcement because, sometimes they have another victim who they can put yours together with theirs and then they can take it to the Attorney General's office that way.
Meeting the threshold.
Right. And then you don't have to hire private lawyers. Not that I don't want us hiring lawyers because I am one, but but this problem is bigger than us. And we are the boots on the ground that see people lose everything. I could go on with all my stories, but frankly, what I would love to see in my career is that we really make some good headway in stopping exploitation and scams against some of our most vulnerable people in the state of Florida, which are often seniors.
Well, we're going to take a break here, and we're going to come back to talk some more to Shannon Miller. We're back, and we have here our guest, Shannon Miller, who is the chair of the Elder Law section of the Florida Bar Association. We've been having a good conversation for those of you who join us or continue to listen to us. We're going to be talking about the practice of elder law. Shannon has been doing that for quite a while. And there are cases I'm sure that you've had that that have put a stress on your life, on your psyche. And are there any cases from your career that really stayed with you and that, have shaped how you view this type of work?
Yes.
Tell us about it.
Okay, first I have to talk about Miss Maddie's case.
All right.
Because Miss Maddie was one of my first clients who came to see me when I was a very young lawyer.
And you still are, by the way.
Yes, right. But she had $115,000 to her name. She had saved this money with her husband, and she was very proud. She had her own home, a little bit of retirement money, and she had this savings account that had $115,000 in it. When her husband died, at the funeral, she was approached by the pastor who suggested to her that she add his name to the account and that she would help her manage her finances.
Oh, my goodness.
He would help her
Someone
manage her
that was confidant.
Right. And we didn't have the exploitation injunction statute then, and we had really bad criminal exploitation laws at that time. And we didn't have any provisions related to joint account theft, which we do now have. So she added his name, and he took all the money out, and he put it into an account with his wife's name on it. And we had to litigate that case. She was 92 when she came to us, and the case was litigated for almost 2 years.
Wow.
And we ended up getting half her money back, and then she died. And it was really, really hard. And it was like when she came to me and told me the story, I was like, we're going to fix this. We're probably going to get this resolved in a week. And then I started to dig into the law and to understand about the joint account issues. And it was really heartbreaking to me. And to have to watch her walk through that, because it was not really, her health declined because of the litigation. She had to go through depositions and discovery, and it was
taxing.
It was really, really hard. So I, as part of my, wishes as a lawyer, I was like, we need to change the laws. And that really was when I started to look at committees back in 2012, where we were looking at changing the laws. So the prosecutors were saying, we can't prove, this intimidation and deceit. It's like exploitation is done behind closed doors. So we did change the laws for criminal exploitation, and then that created the foundation for the exploitation injunction. I want to talk about one more client that I have who also sadly died, and this also predated the exploitation injunction laws. He came to us. His name is Michael McCadden. And he told me, Shannon, shout my name from the rooftops. I want people to know about me and my story and what happened to me.
Well, we're not on the rooftop, but we can get there. We've got a ladder outside.
Yes, and I have his picture on our website. He was a decorated Korean War veteran. His service was really amazing, and he actually went to Korea to receive some awards there.
Wow.
So he was just this fantastic man. He was a dancer, just an incredible man. And he came to us and said, I don't know what happened to my stuff, but my daughter has all my money right now. And I know.
That's odd.
And his house had been titled into a trust. And finally we were able to see the trust and understand what had happened. And basically she had moved all of his money into her name using the cover of a trust to do it. And she was the trustee. He did not have enough money to live in an independent living situation. We were going to his house doing his laundry. She literally took all of his money. And she claimed that it was a gift. And he was he had some dementia issues. And so again, it was this very challenging litigation.
Difficult.
It took about a year and a half. And we were able to recover his money, all of it. And she was criminally prosecuted because we had the new criminal exploitation laws at that time where she was actually criminally prosecuted. In the end, he died also. So I was so heartbroken because, yes, we were able to do some more work there, but it took too long. And it took too much out of him. And it was a very sad situation. Come to the exploitation injunction statute.
Yes.
Which was implemented.
I understand that you testified
Yes.
Before the legislature.
Yes, many times, many times.
I remember when you were going through that.
Yes, it was all the way back in 2017. We made it way better in 2021 with Karen Murillo, who was at the Attorney General's office at that time.
Who's now at AARP.
And so we were able to make a really, and actually I will say that the exploitation injunction statute actually began from Ellen Cheek, who works for Legal Aid in Tampa. And she had seen some iteration in West Virginia of something like the exploitation injunction statute. And we worked on it and we made it like this most amazing thing. And so we were able to get that through the legislature thanks to the elder law section of the Florida Bar. And it once again passed without a single vote against it. And, now it is such a tool. We actually have some Minnesota attorneys who passed similar legislation in Minnesota. So other states are copying us, understanding really the benefits of this statute.
See, I refer to you respectfully as my Joan of Arc.
Aww.
Minus the burning, minus the
I don't mind the burning.
Because whenever I called you to do something on an education, you were always there.
Yeah, that's our job.
And just like here, you're here to basically crow about not only the successes of the elder law section, but also the work that's being done.
Yes, so, absolutely. And I will say tomorrow I have an exploitation injunction hearing, right? We already got our temporary order freezing the assets and creating a no contact provision with the exploiter versus our little victim. And this victim has had his truck using a DPOA, the exploiter.
Durable power of attorney.
Took his truck, took 2 pieces of his property, emptied out his bank accounts. And so we have a hearing tomorrow,
so this was
an emergency hearing.
Durable power of attorney, not a guardianship, but
an agent under power of attorney, yep.
Were they related?
Cousin. Yeah. And so, this work, I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I hope it works out. We'll see. But, having the tool where they came to us probably a month ago, we got all our ducks in a row. We filed the petition. We had the temporary order entered last Thursday, and we have our final hearing tomorrow. So it's happening within a month and a half, really.
You know what? That is basically honoring that first person that you were not able to help out.
Yeah.
That took 2 years.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah. I know, we're just making progress.
Every time that you help somebody, it's on the shoulders of the efforts that you and the elder law section have consistently done.
Yeah.
So, again, why Joan of Arc? Because Joan of Arc, whenever she was called upon, came in and basically battled on and was successful until the last part.
Which is okay, right?
Because we won't go there.
For me, it is, Jane Goodall is one of my, she's someone who I really aspire to live by, her kind of way of living through life, which is we have a job to do while we're here on this earth. We have a duty to try and make things better. We're here to try and make things better. And I want to do what she did, which is to continue to do the work and then die in your sleep. Because honestly, these are the things that make me feel happy. And I feel like these are the things that keep me thriving in life.
Absolutely.
And I just love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
For me, teaching has been an incredible gift.
Well, you're kind of a legend.
Oh, I don't know
when
about
I
that.
heard that somebody said to somebody, "Hey, Shannon, Judge Rodriguez wants you to come on his podcast," and I was like, "Oh, really? Me?"
Absolutely.
So you are a legend in the state of Florida for really, being this big proponent about, the exploitation that occurs inside guardianship cases and how to address it, because the Ninth Circuit has been so good at doing that, and it just becomes an example to all of us, we can do better.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yep.
Every day. Well, I just want to say thank you.
Of course.
I want to go ahead and at this point let you know that you're always welcome to here.
Excellent.
And we are going to go ahead and at this point acknowledge certain folks that basically make our Aging Smarter podcast. Like, for example, our showrunner, Art Miles, our producer, Annie Rodriguez Newbern, and the Tangle Rodriguez and Associate Law Firm for their assistance and for their sharing and carry. At this point, let me also remind you, if you're not doing very much, please give us a thumbs up, a like, and, join us. Subscribe. That way, whenever we have another podcast, we'll go ahead and let you know. This is basically not a legal. This is not intended to be legal advice. This is also not intended to create an attorney-client relationship, but it's basically information that will hopefully assist you in your own personal space to ask the right questions, to go to the right sources, and again, to benefit as a result of what we've explained here today. We thank you. And again, if you want to go ahead and listen to these podcasts over and over again, we're on YouTube at Studio 226, but also you can get us on the website of the Senior Resource Alliance, the AAA, or the Area Agency on Aging. Their website, again, Senior Resource Alliance. Until next time, I'm Judge Jose Rodriguez, and you've been listening and watching Aging Smarter.